If you give me the next 10 minutes of your time, I'm going to give you the no BS process of becoming a profitable trader. Because most people think trading is about finding the perfect indicator, the perfect stock, the perfect entry, or some secret strategy that nobody else knows about. And I'm here to tell you that is not what makes traders profitable. What makes traders profitable isn't complexity. It's not more information. It's not bouncing between 15 different stocks or 10 different strategies or 8 different indicators. It's about execution, risk management, and emotional control. And so before I break this down, let me give you a quick introduction. My name is Andy Antiles. I've been trading since I was 17 years old, and I've been consistently profitable for 7 years now. In the month of April in 2026, just last month, I made over $165,000 in take-home profit trading in the stock market. And let me go ahead and just pull that up on my phone so that you can see live on my brokerage account and show you the actual numbers so that you can see for yourself. As you can see on my phone right here, I'll let that focus, $165,000 in take-home profit. You can see I'm refreshing there. That is on my regulated brokerage account on Webull, where I trade. And I want to be extremely clear also, guys, before I go ahead and get started, that this is not an income claim. This is not me guaranteeing that you will ever be able to make $165,000 in profit in a single month. And most people lose money inside of the stock market because they don't manage risk, they don't have a real system, and they let emotion control their decisions. And I'm not making this video to flex numbers on the screen. I'm making this video because I want to show you what actually changed for me. Because when I was 17 years old, I turned $5,000 that I had saved from lifeguarding into $70,000 trading in the stock market when I was a senior in high school, my last year in high school. And instead of realizing that I got lucky, I thought I was special, I was extremely arrogant, and I got emotional, I got riskier, and eventually I blew my entire account. I lost everything. And that was the moment that everything changed for me. I realized that trading is not about being the smartest guy in the room. It's not about predicting every move. It's not about getting rich quick. Trading is about building a system that protects you from yourself. So if you give me the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you the real process that I believe people need to follow if they want to become profitable traders. And you can start implementing these principles immediately. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. The first thing that you need to understand is that you don't get paid as a trader for how much time you spend staring at charts. You don't get paid for how many trades you take. You don't get paid for how many indicators you understand. You get paid for 3 things: your ability to execute your trading plan, your ability to manage risk, and your ability to control your emotions. And if you can master those 3 things, you give yourself a real chance in this game. So let's start with execution. The biggest mistake that I see beginners traders make is they overcomplicate everything. They think the more complex their system is, the better it must be. So they add indicators like RSI, MACD, Bollinger Bands, Fibonacci, 5 moving averages, trend lines everywhere, volume indicators, random news headlines, and before they know it, their chart looks like a spaceship control panel, and they wonder why they're confused. Your edge as a trader is not complexity. Your edge is simplicity. You want a system that's simple, repeatable, and clear enough that you know exactly what you're looking for before the market even opens. And so for me, that starts with trading one thing. I trade SPY, SPY, as you can see on my screen right now. That is the only stock that I watch, the only stock that I trade. SPY is the ETF that tracks the S&P 500, and I trade options on SPY. That's it. I'm not waking up every morning trying to figure out if I should trade Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, Bitcoin, penny stocks, or some random stock that's trending on social media that day. I trade one chart, one vehicle, one system. Why? Because mastery comes from repetition. The reason I trade SPY every day is because I want to become an expert in how one thing moves. I want to understand the rhythm, the speed, the volatility, the levels, the way it reacts around support and resistance. And so most traders are scattered. Their attention is everywhere, so their execution is terrible. My approach is the opposite, right? I simplify everything. I trade SPY options. I use price action. I identify support and resistance. And I wait for a 5-minute candle close either above resistance or below support as my entry signal. right? If price closes above my level of resistance, I'm looking to play calls. If price closes below support, I'm looking to buy puts. Calls above resistance, puts below support. That is the entry framework that I use on a daily basis. And I know that may sound simple, but that's the point. Most traders don't need a more complicated strategy. They need a strategy that they can actually follow. You should be able to walk into the market every day and know what you're looking for, right? You should know what a high-quality setup looks like. You should know what a low-quality setup looks like. You should know where you're entering, where you're getting out, where you're taking profits, and exactly how much you can lose if you're wrong, right? And you need to know that before you take the trade. Absolutely everything needs to be predetermined. You cannot rely on your real-time ability to make emotional decisions because losing is inevitable. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how long you've been trading. I don't care how strong the setup that you're looking at is. You will lose trades. And the goal is not to avoid every loss, but rather the goal is to control the loss so that one bad trade doesn't destroy your account, your confidence, or your week. And so that brings me to the second major piece, which is risk management. As a trader, you are not a fortune teller. You are a risk manager. So your first job is not to make money. Your first job is to protect your capital, and your second job is to grow your capital. That's the order that most traders get wrong. They're so focused on how much they can make that they never ask the most important question, which is how much can I lose? And that one question changed everything for me. When I was 17 and I blew my entire account, it wasn't because I didn't know how to find winning trades. I had winning trades, right? I had turned $5,000 into $70,000. The problem was that I had no risk management, no structure, no rules, no system protecting me from my own arrogance. So when I went back to my dad's name is Seth Antiles. He spent decades trading billions of dollars for some of the biggest banks and hedge funds in the world. The lesson that he drilled into me when I finally was humble enough to get his coaching and guidance, the one lesson that he drilled into me was simple. It was to protect downside first, to stay in the game, because if you can't lose big, you can survive long enough to win. And that became the foundation for my entire trading system. Today, I follow the same 5-step system in every single trade that I take. Step 1 is that I enter every trade with the same amount of money. For me personally, that's 30% of my trading account. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just explaining what I personally do. And the principle is this. My position size, the amount of money that I invest, that I allocate to each trade, is not emotional. I don't size up because I feel confident. I don't size down because I'm scared. I don't double the next trade because I lost the last one. I don't revenge trade. Same size every time. Okay? Step number 2 is that I use the same risk on every single trade that I take. And for me, that's a 10% stop loss on the position. So if I enter a trade and the trade moves 10% against me, it's sold for me automatically without me lifting a finger. No debating, no hoping, no praying, no moving the stop loss because I feel like it might come back, no doubling down. I'm out. And because I'm using 30% of my account with a 10% stop loss, I am risking 3% of my total account in every trade that I make. So before I enter, I already know my downside, right? I've capped my downside risk. I know exactly what my worst case scenario is. Most traders panic because they don't know their risk. They enter first and think about risk later. That's backwards. What I do is I define risk first and then I enter the trade. Step 3 is that when the trade goes up 10%, I sell the first half of my position. So if I enter a trade and it moves 10% in my favor, I sell the first half of my position. And immediately after doing so, I move my stop loss on the second half of my position to break even, right? Break even means the price that I initially purchased at on the second half of my position. This is critical because it prevents a winning trade from ever turning into a losing trade. Right? How many times have you been green on a trade, you've gotten greedy, you've held too long, and you've watched the whole thing reverse into a loss? How brutal is that, right? My system is designed to prevent that from ever happening. Step number 4 is that I sell another quarter of my position at a 12 to 15% profit. So now I've locked in more profit. I've reduced risk, I've protected myself, and I am taking more profit on that capital than what I ever could have lost, right? My worst case scenario was a 10% loss on this capital. Now I'm taking profit at 12 to 15%. And now step number 5 is that I trail the last quarter. I trail my stop loss on the last quarter of my position. So this is where the math can really be flipped on its head, okay? Because I never manually sell the last quarter of the position. I don't try to guess the top. I let the trade keep working, and I just continue to move my stop loss higher as the trade moves in my favor, right? So in April, one of the big reasons that's why I earned over $165,000 in take-home profit is because I had multiple trades where the last quarter of my position ran 100%, 200%, even 300% plus in profit. That is the power of controlled risk, right? Very little downside risk and massive upside potential. And I had students, guys, that in the month of April, in single trades, they got 30, 40, 50% returns on their entire account on one single trade from being able to trail the last quarter of their position to massive, massive profits. And with all of the craziness going on in the world right now, there has never been more opportunity to get incredible, incredible moves on the last quarter of this position. And that's what can happen when you combine the power of trading with a real system, right? Options trading with a real system. Not gambling, not guessing, not entering a trade with your entire account, but a system where you have clearly defined risk, clearly defined profit levels, and then the last quarter of the position, you let it run, and you have an uncapped amount of money that you could potentially make in the last quarter of your position. Now, the third major piece is emotional control. And this might be the most important one because most traders, they know what they should do. They know they should use a stop loss. They know they shouldn't chase. They know they shouldn't revenge trade. They know they shouldn't oversize. But then real money is on the line and they do the opposite. That's why I call my system emotionless trading. Not because you won't feel emotion. You will. Everyone feels emotion when real money is involved. The point is that the rules make the decisions before your emotions get a chance to even get a vote as to what you're going to do. When I enter a trade, I already know my position size, I know my stop loss, I know where I'm taking profit, I know how I'm managing the last quarter of my position. That's how you protect yourself from yourself. And this is why mindset matters so much. If you come into trading thinking, I need to make money today, you're already in trouble. If you need the next trade to work, you're in trouble. If you need to make back yesterday's loss, you're in trouble. Because now you're not trading a system, you're trading from desperation. So if you want to become profitable, stop asking, how can I make money today? And start asking, how can I become an elite trader? How can I execute better? How can I take cleaner setups? How can I manage risk better? How can I avoid emotional mistakes? How can I review my trades honestly? Right? Because you need to treat trading like a real profession, not a hobby, not a lottery ticket, not a get-rich-quick scheme, but a profession. And that means you need a process for improvement, right? Before the market opens, prepare. Know your levels. Know your plan. Know what you're looking for. Know what you are not willing to trade, and then execute. Take the trades that fit your plan. Skip the ones that don't. Follow your rules. Honor your stop losses. Take your profits. Manage the trade the way that you said you would. You prepare, you execute, you review, you refine, and then you do it again, right? And so ultimately, you need to keep it simple. You need to trade one thing, master one system, control your risk, detach from the outcome of any one trade, focus on execution, and treat this like a real profession. That is the no BS process. And if you want help learning this directly from me, go ahead and click the link in the description and apply for mentorship. And after you submit your application, go ahead and schedule a call with one of my senior advisors. We'll discuss face-to-face on Zoom and see if this is a good fit for you. Inside of my program called Greystone Premium, we teach people how to trade the stock market with structure, with risk management. We have live coaching, live trading on a daily basis with this emotionless process. You'll learn the same SPY framework that I personally use. You'll learn and get real over-the-shoulder guidance on a daily basis as to how to use my 5-step risk management system. You'll learn how to identify support and resistance, how to wait for confirmation, and how to stop making emotional decisions. Okay? So if you're serious, if you want mentorship, structure, and a real system, go ahead and click the link in the description, submit an application, and then schedule a call with one of my senior advisors. Hopefully this video helped you, and I will see you in the next one.